I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air.
Climate change, climate warming, the global warming is an existential threat to humanity.
The final debate featured the first substantial climate change discussion in 2 decades. But does the candidates' rhetoric on this issue match the reality? During the debate, President Trump explained why he left the Paris Climate Accord.
I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord.
Most countries aren't meeting the goals set by the Paris Climate Agreement. Still, many economists doubt this agreement would kill jobs. And leaving the accord is just one example of how the current administration has stripped several Obama-era environmental protections.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
As for Biden, he was vice president when the U.S. initially signed the agreement. He plans to immediately rejoin.
First thing I would do the day one as president, I'd rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, which Barack and I put together.
Also under Trump's leadership, the Department of the Interior proposed the largest ever oil and gas agreement, over 78 million acres in the Gulf of Mexico. And in 2017, Trump signed an executive order to expand offshore drilling. Though just last month, he banned drilling along parts of the East Coast.
I will sign a presidential order extending the moratorium on offshore drilling on Florida's Gulf Coast and expanding it to Florida's Atlantic coast as well as the coasts of Georgia and South Carolina.
Biden, on the other hand, plans to ban any new drilling permits on public lands or waters, though his record on fracking is hard to follow.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either one of those.
But during the recent debate,
would you rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we need other industries to transition to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money in doing it.
Biden's climate plan also includes creating 10 million jobs, doubling offshore wind by 2030, and getting the whole country to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. He also made headlines for saying he wants to transition away from oil.
It has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies.
Trump, meanwhile, repealed Obama's Clean Power Plan that required states to cut emissions by 30% by 2030 and was expected to create as many as 560,000 jobs in the clean energy field. He claims it caused an increase in energy prices. Instead, he focused on preserving coal mining jobs and approving drilling along the Dakota Access and Keystone XL pipelines, the latter of which is still not completed.
Today we take one more step in putting the jobs, wages, and economic security of American citizens first.
And in August, Trump signed the bipartisan Great American Outdoors Act to provide billions of dollars in funds to better the national parks.
The legislation I'm signing today builds on my administration's unwavering commitment to conserving and the grandeur and the splendor of God's creation.
But when it comes to the broader environment, Trump proposed a 26% budget cut for the EPA in fiscal year 2021, whereas Biden's team unveiled a $2 trillion environmental policy plan. But this is becoming a key issue for a lot of Americans. A recent Pew study found 42% of voters view climate change as, quote, very important to their vote. And with more and more Americans witnessing record-breaking environmental disasters, the candidate's record on climate change is all the more important ahead of November 3rd.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.